Masami-san, it's a pleasure to see you, and on behalf of the Center for Strategic Philanthropy at the University of Cambridge, thank you for agreeing to speak with me today about your entrepreneurial and philanthropic journey and some of the new ways to understand the importance and power of the business of philanthropy. Masami, a daughter of Japan, an advocate of diversity in business, and a truly multi-talented person, being a teacher, a translator, a chef and a farmer, an author, and an award-winning serial entrepreneur for a number of decades. Her first business was a fast food takeaway venue in New Zealand, which she transformed into a wholesale frozen meal producer in Australia with a distribution network across 150 stores. And with a clear goal to make a positive difference by helping to feed and educate disadvantaged children. She's passionate about transforming the way businesses generate impact, a successful example of which is how she introduced a new perspective to the power of giving when she founded B1G1, or Buy One, Give One, in Singapore and in the US in 2007, I believe. Masami is a TEDx speaker and the author of 4 books, including Joy, The Gift of Acceptance, Trust and Love, Giving Business, and Better Business, Better Life, Better World. Above all, Masami is a mother of 2 wonderful teenagers. Masami-san, you are the founder of and CEO of B1G1. The social enterprise which became a global movement with more than 500 high-impact projects. Can you share with us a little bit more about this journey and the impact that you've generated by bringing together over 2,300 businesses to work with B1G1?
Well, thank you so much for the lovely introduction. And, you kind of talked about my background running different businesses before, B1G1 as well. So actually, B1G1 started because in 2007, we imagined a world that's full of giving. So just as a way of introduction, I'd love you to imagine with me as well. So imagine if every time you had a cup of coffee or tea, a child received access to life-saving water. Or imagine if every time you purchased a book so that you can learn and grow, then imagine if somebody else received access to education. Or imagine if every time you went to see a doctor, a child receives access to healthcare. So this is the world of B1G1, where everything businesses do can make a difference. And that was in 2007. So it's been 14 years. And so we moved to Singapore with that idea to start this enterprise. And, background of all that was because at that time in 2007, I was already an entrepreneur and I was running a food business. And I started my business 20 years ago, first business 20 years ago. And it just happened to be a food business because I was passionate about food. And I wanted to make sure that every person in the world would have access to healthy food, and then share that happily with their loved ones. So that was the kind of my motive behind being an entrepreneur. But then what I realized in the initial phase, like running that business for 5 years and developing it and growing it. And one day I found myself running this business, which was a frozen packaged meal company, distributing frozen meals to health food stores or some of the supermarkets in Australia in multiple states. So we were doing better compared to when we began. But then I realized that even at that time, I really wasn't doing anything beyond just running the business. And that was because I always felt that I wasn't ready. We were not successful enough, or we had to put the money back into business to grow more. So as I kept going in that way, one moment I paused and I thought, if I kept telling this story to myself, then maybe in 10 or 20 years later, I would still be doing the same thing, telling myself the same story. So that was when I just imagined what if, like, instead of trying to do something big in the future, we did something small, something that we could do already, and then do it every day. And we incorporated this idea of B1G1 into my own company. But then several months later, I had another moment of realization that maybe the world have many other businesses, the business owners who care. And then because of that, I decided to sell my company. And then B1G1 was founded in Singapore because we wanted B1G1 to be a global initiative from day one. And we somehow figured out that Singapore was strategically a good place to be. So that was kind of the beginning. And since then, we've worked with more than thousands of businesses. And those businesses have already created 250 million giving impacts. So I think there is a power in small things that we do every day.
Powerful indeed. So B1G1 has been successful in rallying the business community from several sectors, as you say, to support its cause, including providing access to clean water, meals, medicine, and mentoring for women and children. Are you happy with the state of business engagement with philanthropic causes in general in the parts of the world that you operate in? And what specific things can both sectors do to enhance this relationship, do you think?
I think compared to when we started in 2007, today, there is much stronger desire and awareness in the business community to contribute toward a great social impact and incorporating effective giving or CSR, so there is much more awareness today, so which is really fantastic. But I still think that traditional form of philanthropy or giving, charitable giving, could be a little bit ad hoc. So it could be like, oh, let's do a big charity gala dinner and raise money for this cause, or there is a natural disaster. So as a result, we should donate some money to this cause. Or so there is a lot of ad hoc big things that happen in today's world, like a big campaign as well, once a year or so. But the thing is, what could be missing, and the opportunity we are missing today is how businesses actually can integrate these social activities and effective giving in day-to-day business activities as if it's part of habit. Because it's not only that in that way we could be creating the impact regularly, but that's also good for the nonprofit side to have regular stable income coming in. And at the same time, when we are doing something regularly, it becomes part of our identity. So that act of giving and making an impact could really uplift the spirit of businesses, and that can really impact the people that they are dealing with on a day-to-day basis, including their team members or even clients and customers and community. So I think that is one thing that perhaps we can have more of in the business giving space. And when we look at the nonprofit side, then I believe that also traditionally all the nonprofits doing good work, they have the tendency to immediately usually go to the thinking that, okay, we need to raise donations. And then the messaging could usually be donate now, give now. And so what happened is when something happened and they can't continue usual fundraising, then it could be very disruptive, such as during the pandemic. Suddenly, so many charity organizations lost a massive part of their regular income because they couldn't do the campaigns and the events and all that kind of things. So I think shifting the focus in the giving side to really think about the opportunity and making people be part of the opportunity together, so that whether or not people remember you are doing fundraising somewhere, you can actually do the work continuously long term. So I think that we can all learn and to be more coming in the middle, businesses having more stronger sense of purpose, and then nonprofit having a great value proposition, and all coming together, almost like becoming a social ventures together. That I think is a great way we can move forward.
So do you think that, on the same subject matter, do you think that that might become a problem? Because as you correctly pointed out, and I observe this as well in my parts of the world, that social impact continuum is becoming more blended, right? Everybody is seeing their purpose through a lens of social impact. And not everybody, but certainly more and more entities around the world, both in the for-profit as well as the non-profit world. Do you think that might be a problem going forward, that there might be perhaps almost unhealthy competition between entities in both sectors, or maybe the overall, I guess, the way that the nonprofit sector almost sees itself might be challenged?
I don't think so at all. I think the more we can come together, the better, and the more we can shift our focus, the better, and the beneficial for every organization. And the reason why is that when we had a very extreme two-sided approach, one side is, corporations and businesses simply trying to maximize the profit, at all costs. Every quarter, they have to maximize their profit. So they were making decisions that obviously create longer term challenges and consequences, but they didn't have to worry because, as long as you are providing quarterly performance, then you get paid well, and you could jump to another company and get paid more. And so that was how it was. And then nonprofit side was really busy fixing problems because there are too many problems that had to be fixed because of this kind of extreme approach. So when we can all shift and come more toward the middle, then the benefit is that every organization can still thrive in that sense, because actually, in order for the nonprofit to create a better sustainability, it's better to have the value proposition. And for businesses, it actually makes them more sustainable long term when they have the really the deeper sense of purpose, mission, and belief. And they are taking care of people in the organization better. So these organizations will still thrive. It's just that what we are doing is filling in a different part of the ecosystem, because businesses are here to solve problems as well for the customers and communities. So they are already creating good in the world, and nonprofits are filling the gap to solve certain problems. There is not necessarily always a direct revenue model. I think these organizations will all still exist in a harmonious way, in a symbiotic way, to achieve the things. But because we are more coming in an aligned manner, I think we would actually waste less effort and resources to achieve the same outcome or even better outcome.
I hope so. You are a serial entrepreneur and of course an advocate for the role of SMEs in achieving the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals. And you've set a goal, I understand, for B1G1 to reach 1 million businesses by the end of 2030. To what extent do you apply the traditional entrepreneurial or business principles to the practice of philanthropy, whether that's through B1G1 or other things that you've been involved in? And has your approach to this or philosophy behind this changed over time? And if so, how?
Okay. Yeah, good question. I never been asked that question before. So I actually probably mostly use business approach in everything we do. Like we tend to use business focused approach, even though our ultimate work is creating social impact. So we could say we are doing good, so please donate money to us or something. But we've never done it. We've been always focused on value creation because we believe that no matter what we are doing ourselves, our work itself should have the sustainable funding model, which doesn't depend on donations. But at the same time, when businesses are choosing to support the causes that we bring on board as partners, then we want to make sure 100% of their giving, every dollar and cent, will actually go to the project. So in order for us to make that work, what we have to do is we would have our own value proposition that is useful and meaningful and rewarding for the businesses that we work with. So that's why we have a kind of quite cool platform which actually shows the impact count of each business. They can embed a widget on their website, or they can generate certificate of gratitude that they want to send, or we package certain giving in a way that businesses can very easily do carbon offset. Or so we continuously think in terms of creating value, making it either simple, easy, or effective, or meaningful and rewarding for businesses to continue to give and to see the impact that they are creating. So to me, because I came from an entrepreneurial background, and actually I grew up in a family business in Japan. My grandparents had a family business in Tokyo. So I was always helping them run their business. So to me, thinking like business is a very natural thing. I always want to think about creative ways to make people feel great, or save their time or effort, or but at the same time, I also really saw that when I was backpacking in my youth, that there were lots of problems that nobody is interested really to pay money for to fix. And so we are here to currently bridge this gap. But then at the same time, I hope that one day actually that we will be in a world where we don't even need charities anymore.
Yeah, and that goes back to, I guess, the previous conversation we had on which was around these blurred lines, and what will the future hold for this social impact continuum? Where will all the different pieces and the different actors end up? And I think you're absolutely right. It can be very powerful, where one can get a multiplier effect on impact if collaboration works. I guess my only fear is sometimes when you do have overlap in missions, then there is also sometimes the potential for unhealthy competition. So one will, I guess, need to see, and I imagine it would be different in different parts of the world as well, because of various cultural nuances related to the social sector. Looking ahead as we embark on this so-called decade of delivery towards meeting the SDGs, do you believe that the COVID pandemic will have a lasting impact on how people think about the imperative for this multi-stakeholder collaboration we've just talked about?
Yes, definitely, because I think through the pandemic, we all recognized how connected we are. Right? Because if we weren't connected, we wouldn't be in this situation for so long to start up with. And that at every level, this shared issue impacted us, no matter where we are. And so we also realized that we cannot move forward just thinking about ourselves and not really taking care of the challenges together. So I think it's really interesting to see what happens moving forward, because not only that we faced the pandemic issue for the last 1.5 years, but we also started to see more and more of the impact with the climate change as well. And that's all in front of us, and it's becoming more and more urgent for us to actually ask the question and then go okay, so if we all have the power to create an impact and influence each other, then how do we want to use that, and what kind of world do we want to create, and what kind of world do we want to leave for our children and grandchildren and so many more generations to come? Then we need to actually come together to do it together. And I believe that we actually, today's world, we have the technology, we have the ability, resources, and creativity, and all the diverse uniqueness of the gift that we individually have to bring to this mix to solve this big global challenge. And so as long as we are aligned, we can actually make a real difference. But then the question is, can we come and can we align? So
So since you referred to next generation, my final question is, what are some of the key issues and topics that you believe the next generation of philanthropists and also social entrepreneurs should be focusing their efforts on today and in the years to come, both on the Asian continent, but also globally?
I think because we are in this world of connection, effective learning is one of the keys, because we actually can collate and access all the information that we have, and lots of information is free today. So how quickly can we all learn to apply that knowledge into actions? And also another part of it is because it's so easy to do it alone, and things alone, and it's easier to do things alone too. But the thing is, how can we actually create more collaboration and you bring the power that we have together to achieve the goal much faster? So those two things, I think, really would matter a lot. And I'm looking forward to seeing the next generation of leaders bringing in their, unique gift into this mix. So, because old people like us, we may not be able to solve it by ourselves. We need young people to come into this space.
Very well said. Thank you, Masami-san, for your time today and for this inspiring conversation. どうもありがとうございました。
Thank you so much.